Hi, Hearties. Welcome to another Heart to Heart chat where we talk with the cast and crew of Wynn Calls the Heart. I'm Jeanette Stevens and I'm from Michigan, and I'm joined by a couple friends today.
Chelsea from Puerto Rico.
Dawn from Raleigh, Texas.
And today we're super excited. We've got Miss Erin Krakow, our Elizabeth Thornton. Welcome to Heart to Heart.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Erin Krakow. I'm in California and I'm so excited to be here. I'm thrilled to be chatting with you guys today.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
So we see that you're wearing blue today, and we were kind of taking bets about the fact that you might be breaking out the red again after you were so excited about wearing red in last week's episode.
Yeah. So what did you guys bet? Did you all think I was gonna wear red?
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
It's funny, I actually don't own a lot of red. I have worn red dresses in the past, and it was super fun to get to play out that twinning moment with Pascal. We had a really good time. But I'm so sorry to disappoint. It was blue today.
All right, we'll roll with it.
Yucks.
And what a cool full circle moment from season 1, wasn't it? All the way back.
Yes.
Pascal?
We came kind of close on Elizabeth and Lucas's non-date to Union City when Elizabeth borrowed that sort of burgundy. Yeah, I call it burgundy. So it wasn't quite red. This was the first real red moment since that embarrassing situation season 1 where everyone tried to copy Rosemary and Elizabeth just wrapped herself up in the cream shawl.
It was fun. It was such a fun scene.
So I loved seeing you both in red. It was so fun. And you gave us that great moment when you were like hiding behind the newspaper and you were answering Rosemary's question and you would move the newspaper. So that's like a great example of like subtle choices that actors make. So do those like small subtle acting choices like that, like do you think of those in the moment, or do you read the script and then like, oh, this could be something that I could add here?
That's a great question. I'm glad you liked that moment. It really varies. Thank you. It really varies. Like some things like that you wouldn't really be able to plan for, because until you get the prop and you see sort of how big the newspaper is and if it can actually cover enough of me to make it make sense, right? Then you kind of go, oh, there's a little bit here. There's something to be mined, if you'll pardon the use of the word mine. Trigger warning. Yeah. So sometimes they come to you in the moment, and those are always really juicy, especially if you're, if you're just being present. Like I'm trying to think back to a scene. Was it earlier this season that the ice cream troubles happened? It was, right?
Yeah.
The mess. Okay. Yes. And Nathan and Elizabeth are in the Mountie office, and it's like the moment between reprimanding Allie and reprimanding Robert. Nathan and Elizabeth have a little chat, and then he's like, he did it so well. I don't remember exactly, but that was like just a moment that Kevin came up with because he was present and we were playing, and then I was able to respond to that. So they can happen in the moment like that, and like the newspaper, or you can kind of craft, on your way to work. Oh, I think that kind of might be fun to do during this scene. So both, I guess, is the answer.
Yeah, I loved it. And
thank you.
It was so great. And the Hearties sent so many questions. So Anne Carroll from Australia picked up on like so many emotions from you this season, from that amazing birthday scene to when Elizabeth heard about, Henry managing the mine, to that vulnerable like moment if Lucas change his mind about proposing. So Anne wonders how you prepare for such emotional scenes, and do you sometimes have to like debrief after them as well?
Ooh, well, okay, great. Another great question, and good day to all the fans in Australia. So preparing for emotional scenes, I guess it kind of depends on the emotions. Obviously, I'm preparing for whatever scene I'm doing, but I have a feeling she's referring to the more vulnerable, right, the bigger emotional, higher stakes type scenes. And those I try to do most of my prep work offset so that when I show up, I can just be as present as possible. But there are little things like, for example, season 5, we had some brutal scenes to deal with. And yeah, do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I know. We should have warned you. But as we were gearing up for the big episode of mourning, where we shot the funeral, where we shot things like Elizabeth visiting Jack's grave. I just got the goosebumps thinking about it, actually. Probably because it was cold that day. No, it was very emotional. And I knew that it was going to be a draining episode, because even though I am not Elizabeth, I'm still putting myself through that experience. Yeah. And so I just tried to, I had like a song or two that I listened to on loop, and I would kind of just put in my headphones and give a listen to that before a scene. But really it's at this point, the end of season 9, I've lived in this character for such a long time, and there's so much trust between myself and my castmates, our directors, a crew. Like we can just step into who these people are, and it doesn't require a ton of build up for those emotional scenes. And then as far as the experience after them, I mean, maybe you have a headache from crying and you kind of just drink a lot of water, but no, there's not a ton of sitting around and, talking about our feelings or anything afterwards. It's just our weird job that we do.
Well, we talked to John Serrata. I was telling him that the finale for season 5, it's some of my favorite music that he did. And I think when you're Elizabeth's on the horse, and it was almost like you are getting free from that hold of sadness, and that whole, if I want a great cry, that's what I go to. I mean, it's good. It's so great. I mean, it's the roller coaster of emotions, and it was really cathartic, I think, for me, knowing we love Dan and we are gonna miss him and things like that. But I love that episode. Some people don't even, they avoid it. They go from the wedding and they're like, we're not gonna do it anymore. And I'm like, oh, but you're missing so much, so much. But that was good.
Thank you.
The actors' performances, like all of you guys' performances, like
good.
Thank you. I'll take the chef's kiss. Thank you very much.
Jada shared with us a little bit about using music too for scenes like that, for the tougher scenes. She goes, I watch sad TikTok videos and it just gets me there.
I missed who does that?
Jada.
Oh, Jada does it.
Yeah. She said,
whoa, you want to talk about like that girl? How old is Jada now? 16, I think. Sorry if I blew up your spot, Jada, but she is just out of this world talented, what she has in her at that young age, and not just what she has in her, but what she's able to control. Like when they yell action and she gets in front of the camera and just delivers every time. The scene in the mayor's office, the judge's office.
Yeah,
You know,
that
the
was,
one.
that was the one she was talking about with the sad music. She goes, "That's what I used to get there."
Oh my gosh. It's just,
Yeah.
I was really blown away by her performance.
Mhm.
That was
Very cool.
good.
Well, shifting gears a little bit, Pascal
Mhm.
shared a story with us from, I know she's always like, what did Pascal tell you?
What did Pascal say?
From the premiere with the hot air balloon, the scene where she had the monologue where you did the recoil reaction to her. And she told the story. It was actually a great insight into actors, your different processes to prepare for scenes.
Mhm.
Was saying about how she got the lines really last minute or didn't realize that the script had changed and that
Oh, yes.
you had to go into the church and run through them very quickly. And it
Uh-huh.
sounded a bit chaotic. And the way it came out is just amazing considering the last minute changes there. Is that like one of the craziest you've had? Or have you had anything that tops that? As far
In
as
terms of a last minute
right, yeah, preparing.
change?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it happens too often that we get same day changes. That I think was just a change she may have missed, but
That's what she
like,
said.
the reality is, look, she probably made this into a really exciting story because she's such a great storyteller, but she doesn't have a problem memorizing lines. Like, you could hand her something and she'll go, okay, just give me a few minutes to work on this. And she comes back and she's ready. So, but yeah, it was a moment where she realized she had a lot more to say than she thought. I don't think that has happened a ton on our show. I'm trying to think if there's another, like, we had to sing a song and nobody knew the words, or I don't know that that's happened
We
either.
talked a little bit about the pig Latin too, but she goes, I over prepared. She goes, I went through that so many times to make sure I was ready. So
right. I similarly have to really drill the French that I occasionally have to say. And I have maybe have to say like 5 words over the course of 9 seasons, but it does not come naturally to me. And so I often get with Chris and or Kevin, and I'm just like, am I saying it correctly? And I'm never saying it correctly.
Is Kevin fluent in French? We didn't know that about him.
I don't know what constitutes, whether or not he's fluent, but he fakes it very well. I mean, he's
Well, we didn't know that. That's fun.
Oh yeah, he's great. I mean, they're both great, but I'll often try to. What, Dawn?
As like a chef, he has those meals to prepare, and maybe that's right. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. But I do try to over prepare those, and it doesn't really help all that much. But I'll say, okay, Chris, am I saying? I can't even think of a French word. What did I say? Am I saying?
There was a good night. Didn't you say good night one time in French?
Is that bonne nuit?
Sure.
Well,
I was gonna say,
you can say whatever you want. We'll believe you. You nailed it.
Anyway, okay. The point is, I could be saying like genre or something, or like French fries, and he would look at me like, "Oh, that's sweet. Look, you're trying. Oh, look, she's trying." By the way, look. Can you see what's happening here?
Oh no, she's FaceTiming.
Shall we?
Sure. Tell her we were just chatting about her.
Hi, I'm just.
Oh my gosh, are you about to do an interview?
Well,
Wait,
I'm mid-interview.
Why would you answer your phone mid-interview?
Because it's you. It's not like an insurance adjuster is calling. Like it's, oh, you're wearing my sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm. You look stunning.
Oh, thank you. As do you. So we're being a bit rude here. Do you mind if I?
Who's there?
Just our friends, the Hearties.
Oh,
Jeanette
hi,
and Dawn and
guys.
Chelsea. Here.
Hi. We were just chatting about you.
yeah.
Okay. Well, it's my turn now, Pascal. So.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Well, bye.
That's funny.
You'll
Cameo
notice
by Pascal.
I answer her FaceTime. Thank you very much. What were we talking about?
Oh, French.
French.
Oh, yeah. We should have asked her
Anyway.
for a little. She could have.
I
She could have given
know.
us
Does
a
she
little.
know French?
I don't know.
Well,
No.
moving right along. I clearly don't have a great answer to this question. Glad I was able to like come up with something with that FaceTime.
That's funny. So we have another question. Delaney Holly from South Florida asks
Yes.
that should you be granted another season, is there anything you would personally love to see Elizabeth do that she hasn't done already over the course of 9 years?
Yes. I'm sure I could think of something, but I think the answer is just anything she hasn't done in the previous 9 years. I'm always amazed and delighted by the way our writers give me something new every year. It feels like Elizabeth is on a different path in her journey, and that keeps things from getting boring or stagnant for me as an actor, and hopefully for all of you as viewers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's not it's maybe a bit of a cop out because it's not as specific as say like, oh, I would love Elizabeth to stand on her head and recite the alphabet backwards. I don't want her to do that, in fact.
Or Pig Latin, whatever.
Or Pig Latin.
Yeah. What do you guys have any thoughts on things? I shouldn't ask you this actually, because then if the writers want to do that, it becomes a problem. So
Right.
let's just say I would like to explore new territory.
There you go. Good answer. Love it.
So we got talking about all of the romantic moments this season, which there have been many. And of course, Hearties have been all over the board about their favorite romantic moment. We had the gas station moment with the should we marry?
Oh, wait a minute. At the top of the romantic moment list is the gas station scene.
moment. The gas station moment.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Neil shared a great story about the lighting and how that all came together at the gas station. Very cool.
We fought him on that. We were
That's what he
I know,
said.
we were problem children. I know, but we didn't see the vision in the look. We all are protective of our characters, but it is because we want to make sure we're telling the story the best possible way for all of you guys. And when Chris and I read that scene, we read it as this like very intimate evening scene where it was fully dusk, and it just wasn't what we were being pitched. And we were like, okay, wait a minute. Do you just want to go home early? Is that what's happening here? Because, but no, they had this great idea, and it really came together magically. I cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's
Jeanette.
okay. We love talking about that stuff. And then the other big one, of course, was the special birthday scene, which everybody loved. And it's been so fun to see the romantic moment. I mean, Elizabeth is in this great new phase of her life, and these romantic moments now involve her son in a way, and it changes the dynamic. And Highland in that scene just upped the cuteness level and just made you say aw even more,
Mm-hmm.
But how does that feel for you as an actor to kind of play this more mature romantic story now that you're a mother, that Elizabeth's a mother, and it's just a different dynamic. It's been really neat to watch, and not to mention probably more challenges for you guys because now you have a 3-year-old in these romantic scenes.
Yes. Well, I'll circle back to that, but I'll start by, I hope, answering the first half of your question, which is the sort of the difference between the simplicity of romance without a child and what it is now in its more mature form. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just a more mature love story, which again is nice for me as an actor because the Jack and Elizabeth love story, obviously it's its own thing. We don't need to compare what we have now to what we had then, but that was a more innocent, ingenue type. Oh, was that French?
There you go.
Yes. Nailed it.
Didn't even plan it. But you know what I mean? That love story was just in an earlier chapter in her life. And so getting to play out these scenes with Chris and with Highland, it's a different energy for me as an actor. And I'm glad that there's a difference, so that we're not constantly comparing which scene full of candles was the best. And we can just focus on that new love story and dynamic and energy. And I've really enjoyed playing those sweet scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Now the challenges,
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you something specific. The sleepover birthday scenes,
Yeah.
right? I believe it was Neil who was directing that episode, and he was trying to come up with a way that we could work around Highland, but it was also really important that we keep him in the shot somehow, so it didn't just look like Luke's and Elizabeth are just laying on the floor together. And I mean, there's a sweetness and an innocence to having this toddler between us. And but the problem was Highland was feeling particularly squirmy, and his character is supposed to be asleep. That's just part of the scene. So it was, okay, what position can we get Highland in? Keep the cameras rolling, because you never know, he might be still for 10 seconds and then we can steal that. And we really did have to kind of just work with what we could get at the top of the scene and the tail of the scene. And then of course, all right, quick, Chris, scoop him up and take him upstairs. So yeah, like, he's a little distracted, but he does such a great job otherwise. And yes, the cute factor is at an all-time high. So we're very happy he's with us.
Very cool.
I love that scene though, when Lucas picks him up, and I'm like, my mind was, oh, Jack didn't have that opportunity. That was my thought process, is like, and I'm so glad that, little Jack has an opportunity to be carried with
and he walked right by the drawing with him too. So it's like, it's
that's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
And Hearties would, while we're on the subject of romantic scenes, Hearties would kill me if I didn't ask you about a tweet that you tweeted about a certain pillow fight scene that happened.
Oh, what? Okay, what's the direct question, Jeanette?
There was more. You tweeted that there was more to that scene, so I'm sure they're curious.
There was more to that scene. I don't know if it's better to leave it up to, the imagination. Look, sometimes things, I will say, I don't believe anything was cut because it was too racy or scandalous. So it was probably cut for time, because a lot of these episodes are just so, you feel it. They're so jam-packed full of stories. But no, I think what happened was the pillow fight continued, and Lucas kind of, pinned Elizabeth gently, of course, and then they made up.
There you go. Well said.
The fight ended and they made up, but it was like an intimate moment on the couch together while they were being playful and flirty, and that just led straight into the Canfields playing piano.
Perfect transition.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Hearties. I asked for you.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So Erin, I have to say something.
Okay.
So this has become one of my favorite dynamics this season between these two characters, yours and Nathan's.
Oh.
It's so funny, and there's this banter, like, it's so hilarious, but I love it so much. It has become one of my favorite dynamics to see this season. And talking about that, like, John Tinker gives you credit for coming up with that, like, really funny take on Elizabeth giving Nathan a driver's lesson, like your father would have given you. So tell us about that, like, that kind of like new friendship you are forming with Nathan, and how sometimes it's like a little bit awkward, and then he's like teasing her, like you guys tease each other, which is so fun to see.
Thank you. I'm glad that you appreciate that dynamic. I do too. Because I love working with Kevin. So there's that. But I also really appreciate how their relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, how it's evolved in a very caring way. Because even though their connection didn't, take the romantic path, there's still a lot of care for each other. And I appreciate that it's gone in the direction of this playful, like, I'm trying to think, it's just pokey. It's kind of like, let me see how I can push your buttons today, or what can I say? And he's like, I think Nathan maybe feels like, what can I get away with here? Because she hurt my feelings, and so I get to be a little stinker. There's like a little bit of that happening.
Yeah.
So I really like those scenes too. I like them a lot. And that was kind of John to credit me with the driving lesson. I don't know if I had a great reason. Okay, I had 2 reasons for it. Ready?
Okay.
One, I think he had initially written, or I can't remember who wrote that script, but I think it was initially written that I take Nathan on a driving lesson, but I'm like a speed demon. Did John say more about this?
No,
that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the drive and, wind in my hair kind of thing. And Nathan is the one who's like, okay, when is going to be my turn? And I'm just flying. And then I started getting these calls from our 3rd assistant director and our 2nd assistant director, actually, and our transpo captain saying like, okay, we got to get you to set for a driving lesson, because these cars are not easy to drive. I know you've spoken to Nate, I think, right?
Nate. Mm-hmm.
So they're talking about this driving lesson, and I've heard from people at this point how challenging these cars are to drive. I've seen how stubborn they can be on set, and I'm like, I don't know that I really want to do well, there's that. Okay, fine. That's like the lazy part of me. But I'm also, wearing my producer hat thinking, this is going to take a lot longer to shoot this scene if we have to get the car going fast and reset and go again. So I think, okay, it could save us some time. Okay, there's 2 reasons. There's a 3rd, actually. And this is perhaps the most important reason. Sorry, this is a long-winded answer.
Oh, it's good.
The 3rd reason is that I didn't think that would be how things would go. I thought Elizabeth would really take her time with the lesson, and Nathan would be the one who would be more eager to hit the road and fly. And so just coming from a character perspective, I thought, oh, this is kind of an interesting dynamic where Elizabeth is, again, a bit of a stick in the mud to Nathan because she's not letting him go for it.
Yeah. He just like the wheel. I'm like, oh my word, he's gonna, take the car, what he's doing. But it was
some great comedic moments there with the horn.
Oh yeah. What does this button do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when John said you were giving it like your father, was it just as far as the character's father, or were you channeling like some actual driving lessons?
No. I mean, my dad and my mom, but my dad gave me great driving lessons, and I remember we took like a defensive driving course together. But he wasn't. I don't think he was as strict about it as Elizabeth was. So I meant it meaning Daddy Thornton.
Daddy Thornton.
Wait, no, Daddy Thatcher.
Thatcher. There you go.
Daddy Thornton is somebody else. Okay.
That's funny. Oh my word.
Well, I do feel like you, out of everybody, really know the Hearties so well, and of all of the cast. And it's been 9 seasons, so you definitely get to know us. And Has there ever been a scene where you have inserted something or changed something in the script, or that you thought to yourself, "Oh, the Hearties are really going to love this," or
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there are little things that I've added or suggested, or there are little things that I've added, and I'll give you an example or two. But the truth is, it's such a team sport, what we do, that everybody's coming up with things all the time. It's not just me, because I know you guys so well, the Hearties. But I do think in terms of like, oh, this little thing I know would be meaningful. So, for example, the scene where Elizabeth kind of guesses that Rosemary is pregnant.
Yeah.
She's wearing a certain blouse. And I asked Barbara if I could wear that blouse for that day in the script, because I knew that it was the same blouse that Elizabeth was wearing when Abigail told her,
"Oh my
"You're
word!"
pregnant."
That's amazing.
Okay, so
I
there's
thought I saw somebody tweet
Yes.
about that, and then,
Yeah. I saw
That's-
something like that too.
Yeah.
so like that and Barbara, of course, is so collaborative, and she said, yeah, of course. I mean, she's got a million costumes to keep track of, but yeah, she was all about that. So there's little things like that. Oh my gosh, it's hard to think of others. I think maybe it was me who suggested I sleep in Jack's Surge that night at the church.
Oh, it's the church. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I guess it's all about wardrobe for me. No, but there's little things like that you kind of go, oh, this might be a nice nod to the Hearties. This is something I think that they would enjoy.
Well, and you can always count on the Hearties to sleuth that out and figure those things. I mean, like the blouse, like the
Nothing
Hearties
gets
are on
past
it.
you.
Yeah,
I know.
very true.
Yeah. Or like the great moment.
Mhm.
The guys and I really got a lot of mileage out of that first one in season 7, I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
7. And so we decided to bring it back this past season and just kind of fill some of that awkward air
That's
with.
so funny. That
And
was
it's Hearties immediately got that one. It was like, oh, such a great callback. Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Switching gears for a second.
Sure.
So it's graduation season right now. And wouldn't it be cool, Erin, for you to be invited back to your alma mater, Juilliard, to address the graduates? So tell us a little bit about your time there, and if you want to like name drop, because like you imagine that you've had some pretty epic scene partners at Juilliard.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like I just started sweating thinking about going back and speaking to them. I don't know. I'm not a great public speaker. Like, it makes me nervous. I do better when it's scripted. This is nice because it's a casual conversation with lovely people. But no, I don't know that I should really go back and speak to the graduating class. Although I do feel like I have, I learned so much at school. So many valuable lessons. The teachers there are incredible. The experience was incredible. Not for everyone, but I loved it. But I have also really learned a lot in my experience as a professional after graduating. And I do think that there's plenty that I could share with their students now that would maybe be helpful. I'd like to get back to my high school at some point in South Florida and maybe do some kind of masterclass with them.
Because that was that a fine arts school in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it's Dreyfus School of the Arts in Palm Beach County in West Palm Beach. And they've got, at least they did, it was drama, dance, music, both instrumental and singing, communications, and visual arts. I think that's right. So I mean, there are a lot of young actors there who are very serious about their craft, and yeah, it would be really nice. But getting back to, okay, what do you really want to know about Juilliard? Who I did scenes with?
Name drop a few.
I think a lot of people are familiar, that you went there, and it's part of what made you the actor you are today. But yeah, it's neat to hear actual stories from your time there. Yeah, anything that stands out.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's some big names who were there at the same time as me. I feel like weird and gross name dropping.
Yeah.
But I will say,
I think we already know a few of them, so it's probably
okay. You probably heard of them. But I just loved it. I mean, I didn't know a ton about Shakespeare. I didn't even think I really liked Shakespeare all that much, but I fell in love with Shakespeare and the classics while I was there. Getting to do masks classes where you put on these just wild commedia dell'arte masks and explore your physicality and really develop these different characters through mask, movement classes, voice and speech, acting classes. We were always working on some kind of show. And we never auditioned for them. We were just placed in roles that the faculty thought would either play to our strengths or challenge us in a way that they thought would be useful in our education. And, they were long, long days with the same people. And maybe those hours helped prepare me for hours on set. But
do you kind of pick a concentration, like a certain type of acting that you want, like as far as comedy or drama, or do you really just cover it all when you're there? Do they want to?
Yeah, we cover it all.
Wow. Yeah.
At least, I should say the curriculum, I think, has changed since I was there a few years ago. But while I was there, yeah, you entered the drama program and surrendered to what they had to offer.
So we talked about the executive producer. You were talking about, the scene with driving and things like, oh yeah, this is going to be longer than, things like that. So first of all, how many years have you been executive producer for Wynn Calls the Heart?
I think I just got the upgrade last season, and then I was a co-EP for several years before that. I want to say maybe I started season 5. So since then.
Okay. So we were talking with, like you said, the cast and crew. We've had a lot of great conversations, and everyone has mentioned you about the culture on set, and they appreciate your welcomeness with new people. Like for Ali Devereaux, she's the writer's assistant.
Yeah.
And she was like, she called me and welcomed me. And she was just so enamored. It's like, oh my word. For her, that was really unique. So, but I know with executive producing, it's not just you're doing your job just for an actor. There's a lot more hats that you have to juggle through. Can you talk about like some of the tough choices or dilemmas that you've had as an executive producer in Wynn Calls the Heart?
Yeah, I can try. That's so let me first just respond to the first half of what you were saying, which is just so lovely to hear. That makes me feel really good, and I'm glad that people feel like I'm encouraging and that I'm helping to create a culture or an environment that's a positive one. I think for any well, we are absolutely an ensemble show, but I'll just say for any lead character on a show, it does come with a kind of responsibility to set the tone because we're there most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always been important to me, to make sure that I was helping to create an environment that was positive and supportive and a happy place. I hope people feel that way. We certainly have had a lot of people return over the years, and so that tells me that they like their job, so that's good. So thank you anyway. Thanks for sharing that. I'm very happy to hear that. And maybe I've blocked out the second half of your question. Something about challenges as
challenges or dilemmas in the executive producer hat that you have to kind of deal with.
Sometimes it's things like, oh, we really wish we could shoot a scene this way, but because of how much time we have left in the day, maybe we can shoot it in a more economical way. Or maybe it's things like, I'm trying to think.
Well, are you a lot more involved in the prep work than you would have been when you didn't have the EP hat? Like, is there a lot more preparation for seasons involved as a producer?
I think part of the reason why they've given me this credit is because I have just been sticking my nose in things from the very beginning. And I mean, I truly do care about all the different elements that make up our show. And so I want to say, oh, what's the game plan for this person's costume or a prop or a scene? Or I just am curious and I'm invested and I care. So yeah, there's a lot of involvement in talking about what stories are we going to tell this coming season. Okay, here's an example. Maybe, I don't know. Jesse and Clara's wedding. So we wanted to do this outdoor event, but the problem is autumn in the Vancouver area, it's just a little dicey when it comes to weather, right? And so I suggested maybe there's a way that we can accomplish bringing the outdoors in, so we don't have to be playing it by ear and waiting to see what the weather looks like. We can really write it in. And we were able to do that. So that's like, I don't know if this really answers your question, but that's making the most of a situation that was a little precarious.
When we talked with the cast and crew, especially, they're like, these are the things that you're in it to understand the Hearties, and you always are an advocate for the Hearties world, and it's priceless. You cannot find that in other shows. So that's what I love that you are really invested as well, because we are. So that's great.
That's very sweet. I think that it benefits all of us. In fact, like I'm so happy that I've been able to share these Sunday nights with you guys for 9 years and learn about what really resonates with you, what scenes you like, what moments you like, why you like them, because then I'm able to share with those who need to know, like, actually, if we could just add this, or if we could take this away, I think it'll land better with the Hearties. And they don't always listen. I'm not always right, but I do what I can.
But at least you have that opportunity to like have that conversation and things like that. So I think that is anything, especially 9 seasons of a lot of ups and downs and things like that. So in these last 9 seasons, can you talk about how some ways that you've either evolved or either matured as an actress in the midst of Wynn Calls the Heart?
How have I matured and evolved as an actress? Maybe we should ask my scene partners. Well, I've had to deal with some losses over the course of 9 years, and that's on screen and off. But I think that it's a vulnerable profession, being an actor, and you really have to kind of crack open your heart, and that's something I take seriously. And the people that you work with, there's a lot of trust there. You build very close connections, and so it can be hard to lose those connections sometimes.
Sure.
So I guess I've grown through that experience, because you can't break, you just got to bend.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
But maybe that's more an answer to like how I've evolved as a person / actor. I don't know.
You look at season 1 and season 2, I was like, oh, she's so young. And yet, we're talking about the character. I mean, yes, 10 years, whatever, 9 years. It's just like you have evolved even with the character. And that's the reason why I did like the evolution between after Jack passed and being a mother. And that is just a whole other, single mom scenario that no one can really, they don't know until you're in it. Yeah, you change, you do it anyway as a nuance, as a person. So we would need to see that in the show.
I'm not the same person I was 9 years ago, and neither is Elizabeth. So we're growing, we're evolving with the stories that we are being told.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to the finale, lots of breadcrumbs, things like that. And there is some, what's the title? Rock a bye, baby. So we know that Elizabeth got a book for Little Jag talking about rocks. So something's not, I was like, what's that? And there was a reference about the building the tree house, things like that. I'm like, okay, is that going to be there? And then we don't know if there is a lot of impact with the fire in the saloon, because we saw that in the preview. So what can you tease?
Nothing.
Every interview that happens.
Oh man, it's so hard. It really is so hard because like there's only so much we can tease. But can you imagine if we just teased the same thing in every interview? Well, what I can say is whoever wrote that title did a really wonderful job. And I think you guys are smart, and you're smart people. And I think there's some clues in there, and if you want to try to dissect them, you could, or you could just show up on Sunday night, because it's going to be really, really powerful. And there's a lot that we're squeezing into the season finale. That's always the case. There's a lot to wrap up, but this season finale feels like this is not a salad season finale. This is like a hearty meal.
Congratulations. That was great.
Whoa. I'm impressed by myself.
You should be. That was
good.
Perfect. That was good.
Feel free to quote me. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hashtag not a salad.
We're gonna do that hour before.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the tweet. Funny.
We can't wait. That's for sure.
Right. Oh. Can't even.
So excited.
Yeah.
Erin, we sure hope, that you have been, enveloped this year in the love of the Hearties, and the admins and I, we've always had your back. And after getting this peek behind the scenes, on these heart to hearts, we have been so amazed by the talent and the gifts and the artistry that you and the rest of the casting crew bring to us and bring to the show, the dedication, and the love that you have for the show. And so thank you so much Erin, for that.
My pleasure. Really, I mean it genuinely. It is a joyful job to get to do, and I'm so happy that you guys enjoy it as much as I do. We should chat again sometime. Let's talk after the season finale, shall we?
I mean,
Really?
yes, please.
Yes.
All right.
So in.
Okay.
Let me check my schedule. I don't.
Let's say epic. I love
I'm
it.
so excited. That would be fun.
Hearties, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, and you don't want to miss one moment of the One Calls a Heart season finale. It's here. It's this Sunday, 8 p.m. on the Hallmark Channel. Can't miss it. Erin will be on Twitter, as she always is. So meet us there. Come to the party and use the hashtag Hearties. See you later.
Hearties.
Thanks, ladies.